Experience 7 days of divine cleansing, manifests supernatural healing, and sacred energy renewal. In the little village nestled amidst rolling green hills, the air thrummed with anticipation and faith. Every evening for 7 nights, the gentle scent of wildflowers and sacred incense weaved together as a crowd gathered at the church. Prayer filled the night like a soft breeze, guiding weary souls as they sought a miracle for Mary, their beloved mother and friend. Once vibrant and alive, her health had become a flickering candle, dimming with each passing day. But now, the villagers believed divine cleansing awaited them, and hope surged through their hearts. As the pastor led the congregation, his voice danced with power and warmth under the starry sky. He shared miraculous tales from Scripture, painting vibrant images of healings that flooded their minds. Mary found herself swept up in the stories, feeling the warmth of each tale wrap around her like a comforting shawl. Not so distant anymore, each recounting shimmered with a palpable energy. The faithful villagers, hands clasped, echoed prayers for their chosen saint, St. Jude, whose name hung in the air like sacred incense. But as the days melded into nights, doubt began to creep in like shadowy whispers. Her family, filled with confusion and frustration, wondered aloud if their faith had gone too far. Science gnawed at her beliefs, and their skepticism echoed louder with each prayer. Alone in her battle against uncertainty, Mary felt the weight of their doubt pressing down on her fragile spirit. Just as despair whispered she should give up, the final night of prayer arrived with an unsettling stillness. The church trembled with anticipation, electric energy crackling through the air. As the villagers held hands, they closed their eyes to seek divine connection. St. Jude, hear our cries. The pastor's voice rang out, imbued with longing and urgency. Suddenly, a deep rumble rolled across the valley, shaking the very ground beneath their feet. Heartbeats quickened, and breaths caught in throats. The moment hung suspended in the charged atmosphere. Your faith has made you whole, a voice emerged, gentle yet powerful, reverberating through the congregation and deep within Mary's soul. As whispers of awe swept through the crowd, tears shimmered like jewels on cheeks. The warmth from an immense presence filled the church, pushing out doubt and anguish, wrapping everyone in a blanket of divine assurance. And just like that, Mary felt peace wash over her. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. As the pastor raised his arms in praise, an eruption of joy erupted amongst the villagers. Yet amidst the celebration, uncertainty loomed like a dark cloud. Had they witnessed a true miracle? Mary felt transformed, but questions swirled. The church buzzed with excited chatter, each villager sharing their truth and astonished joy. As the night deepened and the flames of hope flickered, the air was thick with possibilities and unspoken fears. Had this moment forged their faith deeper, or would it unravel in the harsh light of reality? Embedded in the sheer brilliance of this divine encounter, the villagers stood on the precipice of a newfound journey, and the question reverberated: what awaited them in the fragile balance between faith and uncertainty? The cool night air wrapped around the villagers like a soothing embrace as they lingered outside the church, hearts still ablaze with wonder. Conversations bubbled like a brook, soft laughter mingling with whispers of gratitude. Yet, for Mary, the waves of joy that washed over her felt mixed with a cocoon of confusion. She struggled to comprehend the profound meaning behind the words she had heard and the sensations that enveloped her spirit. "Did you feel it?" Clara, her closest friend, asked breathlessly, squeezing Mary's hand. "It was as if heaven opened above us." Mary nodded, a smile playing on her lips, but her heart still wrestled with the echoes of uncertainty. As the villagers began to disband, she noticed her family standing apart, their faces tense, mired in contemplation. Watching them, a pang of sorrow clutched at her heart. They had always been her strongest support, yet doubt had settled like a weight upon their shoulders. Mary, her son Peter, stepped forward. His voice clipped. "Are you truly okay? We want to believe. We want to support you." "I feel different, Peter. I feel something beautiful," she responded, her voice a whisper, trying hard to grasp the experience without questioning its validity. "No one has ever come back from the brink like this. Mom, we can't deny what we see, but—" He paused, and the unsaid words filled the air between them. Doubt. Mary finished for him, knowing the battle he faced. Peter looked down at the grass, evident sorrow washing over his youthful features. Before Mary could reassure him, the pastor's voice rang out once more, cutting through the emotional haze. "Remember, brothers and sisters, our faith is a journey. It grows amidst the trials and the triumphs. Let us embrace joy but also confront our doubts together." The pastor's words struck a chord within Mary's spirit. She understood now that it was okay to feel the tension between belief and skepticism. It was all part of the divine path. As the night slowly faded towards dawn, lights from lamps flickered like stars coming alive, casting gentle shadows that seemed alive with promise. Mary gathered the courage swirling inside her. "Let's go home," she said softly to Peter. As they walked, she noticed a pair of elderly villagers, John and Matilda, sitting quietly on a bench. The light from the lamps danced in John's wise eyes, and Matilda's hand rested gently on his knee. "Such wonder in the air, dear ones," John said, gazing at the stars above. "Doubt is a wild beast, isn't it? But faith, even with fear, makes it lay down at our feet." Mary felt a warmth in her heart. How do we balance hope with the shadows of uncertainty? Matilda nodded in thought. Faith is not the absence of doubt, but the strength to walk alongside it. Often we must dive deeper into the very questions that make our spirits tremble. The wisdom in their words settled within her, stirring something bold. She resolved to embrace both faith and uncertainty at dance, a journey, like a candle flickering against the wind. It was in that struggle that true light could shine forth. As Mary and Peter stepped through their door, the dawn whispered promises of a new day, but the journey was still unfolding. The shadows were not gone, but perhaps they held the key to deeper truths yet unveiled. What awaited them next in this sacred exploration? As dawn broke, it was clear. Every step, every prayer, would guide them further into the divine mystery, but would they be ready to confront the truth that lay ahead? The morning sun bathed the village in golden light, illuminating the paths that stretched before Mary and Peter, as they sat together at the kitchen table. Sipping warm tea, a peaceful silence enveloped them. Outside, the world began to awaken. Birds celebrated the dawn with their joyful melodies, and the air carried the fresh scent of Duladan grass. But internally, Mary's heart was restless. "Mom," Peter said, eyes wide with concern, "do you think this feeling will last? This change in you?" Mary looked at her son, the weight of his words sinking deep into her spirit. "I believe it can, Peter. Changes of the heart run deep, but we have to be willing to nurture them. But how?" His youthful curiosity mirrored both resilience and a hint of doubt that she had faced herself. "It feels like a storm behind your eyes." "Ah," she replied, a smile softening her features, "but even storms can bring renewal. Each raindrop nourishes the earth. This can be a time for growth, even if shadows linger." They finished breakfast, and a surge of determination settled over Mary. She stood up, the light catching strands of her hair, illuminating her resolve. "Today, I want to share my heart, to speak of my experience to others." There was a flicker of excitement in her chest, a glimpse into the calling she felt stirring. "We can invite the villagers together, to share our stories of this unexpected grace." Peter's face lit up. "You mean like a gathering? To talk about faith and our doubts?" "Exactly. she said, her voice steady, to affirm that we are not alone in our struggles. We can uplift one another, sharing truths that guide us closer to the light. As Mary stepped outside, she noticed familiar faces. The baker, the school teacher, and families preparing for the day. She felt the warmth of connection. They were all anticipating the coming of something beautiful. Approaching her neighbors, she invited them to join in an afternoon sharing circle at the church. Little by little, confirmations flowed in, laughter following the invitation like a trail of melody through the air. As Mary moved through the village, hope seemed to blossom everywhere, lifting the spirits of each soul she met. Yet deep inside, questions nibbled at her heart. Would this gathering truly help? Was her faith enough to guide them all? Those doubts whispered in the edges of her thoughts, but she chose to believe that her willingness to share could spark something profound. When the hour came, the church brimmed with an air of expectancy. Villagers gathered in clusters, murmuring to one another. As they entered, a palpable energy filled the space, alive with anticipation. Mary felt it hum and vibrate, wrapping around her spirit like a warm embrace. She took a deep breath and stepped to the front. The flickering candles cast soft shadows upon the walls, creating a sacred atmosphere. "Welcome, dear friends," she began. "We are here to explore the wonders of faith, together each of us, a thread in this divine tapestry. Let us share our stories, our doubts, and the light we've discovered even through the darkest times." The initial hesitance began to fade as Mary spoke from her heart. One by one, villagers shared their own struggles, moments of doubt that danced alongside their hope. Tears flowed, laughter erupted, and hands clasped in unity. In that space, a divine bond was nurtured. But then, as Mary felt the uplifting energy create a whirlpool of faith, a shadow flickered across her mind. Could they truly pursue healing of body and spirit through their shared experiences today? As her heart raced, she felt a gentle yet powerful urge pressing within. The whisper of the Spirit, urging her to lead them to an even deeper place of connection. What awaited at the crossroads of communal faith and personal doubts? The moment seemed to shimmer with the unexpected. Would boldness arise to manifest a sacred healing they hadn't yet dreamed of? As the villagers settled into the warm embrace of the church, Mary sensed an electric surge of possibility. Their voices intertwined, forming a soft chorus of shared vulnerability and strength. Hearts were opening, and with each story shared, a thread of connection wove tighter among them. Mary looked around, allowing herself to absorb the faces lit by candlelight, their eyes glistening with emotion and hope. In that moment, she felt the weight of her journey pressing her forward. What if, she thought, our stories fuel a healing beyond what we can see? One by one, her neighbors spoke, sharing not only sorrow but also instances of grace that blossomed in their lives. Henry, the elder, with gentle wisdom etched in the creases of his face, spoke of his wife's illness, yet, in his narrative, he emphasized how faith illuminated their darkest days. In stillness, he said, "We found joy in small moments, like sunbeams piercing through heavy clouds." Moved, Mary raised her hand gently. "Let's take this further," she urged softly. "Faith is a living force. How do we harness that together? Can we invite healing spiritually and physically through our unified prayers?" A murmur of agreement rippled through the crowd. Peter looked up at her, eyes wide with excitement, as if he could feel the Spirit thrumming in the air. Mary could sense doubt beginning to erode, replaced with a shared eagerness to explore the depths of their faith. Encouraged, she continued, "Let us gather around the altar, anoint one another, and pray for God's healing to flow among us." As they moved forward, Mary's heart drummed a fervent beat. Each step felt as if they were threading closer into God's presence. They formed a circle, encircling the altar, hands reaching out to join together in a web of unity. The flicker of flames danced in rhythm with their breaths, as whispers of faith began to rise up like smoke toward the heavens. "Dear God," Mary led them, her voice steady yet filled with fervor, "we call upon you in this sacred moment. Heal our hearts, heal our doubts, and fill us with your divine light. Open our spirits to receive your grace. Tears streamed down faces, but they sparkled with a divine glow. We are worthy. A voice rang out from the crowd, echoing Mary's call. It was Sarah, the village's quiet artist, who had once felt too fragile in her faith. We are worthy. Others followed, chanting softly, reverberating the truth that their faith was not just a distant star. It was a living presence among them. As the prayers intensified, something miraculous began to unfurl. Warmth radiated from hand to hand, igniting a sensation of love and hope that coursed through each person like a vibrant stream. Mary felt it, to one unseen force swirling around them, drawing hearts closer, erasing divisions defined by doubt and sorrow. Then, as voices joined in a harmonious crescendo of praise, something shifted in the atmosphere. A profound calm settled like a blanket of light. Mary's eyes widened, and she felt the Spirit's movement, an invitation to trust in this moment. But, just as hope opened like a vibrant blossom, shadows whispered back the uncertainties that lingered. In the depths of this sacred unity, Mary wondered what further revelations awaited them. What lessons could arise when hearts surrendered in such tangible faith? The church held its breath. A mystery flickered on the edge, stirring in the silence that followed their prayers. Would they dare to engage with what lay beneath, and would healing manifest in their lives in ways they had not imagined? What awaited them now, at the threshold of divine healing and renewal? The air thickened with anticipation, as if the church itself breathed in the prayers rising to the heavens. Mary felt a gentle push from within, like a whisper urging her to take a step forward into the unknown. With each heartbeat, the feeling deepened an invitation to delve deeper into their collective faith. Suddenly, Peter's voice broke through the sacred hush. What if we shared, not just our burdens today, but also laid down our fears? His words hung in the air, heavy yet full of promise. The congregation turned to one another, eyes wide with possibility. The weight of unspoken doubts that each carried was palpable, but recognition glimmered on their faces. They all longed for release. Encouraged by Peter's boldness, Mary felt emboldened to lead them further. Yes, let's surrender our fears, together. Every doubt, every worry, we can bear it as a community. Gently, she invited them to write their fears on pieces of paper. Go ahead, place your burdens at the altar. Let this be a moment of transformation. The villagers shuffled, moving with intention as they gathered their thoughts. Some hesitated, their hands trembling as they clutched the slips of paper. Mary could sense a shifting energy, a current of hope coursing through the space. Each heart in that room was yearning for something greater, longing to be freed from the weights that had chained them for too long. One by one, they stepped forward, hands trembling, faces lined with the courage born from faith. They placed their papers on the altar, illuminating the space between them with intention. Each slip, a prayer in itself, an offering to God, a request for divine intervention. As the last piece of paper graced the altar, a low murmur of song began to rise, a melody of trust and unity. Mary joined in, her voice mingling with the sound around her, filling the church with a sweetness that seemed to echo in the very rafters. The warmth radiating from their joined hands circled back, producing a palpable sense of belonging. Tears flowed freely, not from sorrow, but from the pure release of pent-up burdens. Laughter and cries of relief intermixed, an orchestra of human experience filled with unfiltered emotions. In that moment, the church morphed into a living testament divine, entwined in divine power and human frailty. An inexplicable light seemed to gather above the altar, casting shimmering reflections off the walls. The villagers, momentarily made weightless by vulnerability, felt as though they were caught in a divine embrace. Mary looked up, her heart racing as golden rays poured forth from the heavens, bathing everyone in warmth. "Can you feel it?" she whispered, her voice carrying the weight of awe. Someone in the back replied, breathless with emotion, "It's like we are being reborn." that echoed in the hearts of many. They realized healing was not just a distant hope, but a living reality unfolding before them. Yet, deep inside, Mary sensed another layer of transformation was yet to come, a leap into the unknown. What would they discover when they returned to their lives, carrying this newfound light? Could their fears be truly transformed into testimonies of faith? With every heartbeat, the call for a deeper connection pulsed through the room. Mary closed her eyes. She felt the Spirit's presence urging her to hold on, to remain open, perhaps to something unexpected yet beautiful. As they basked in healing warmth and communion, where would their faith guide them next? Would their journey unfold in ways that could change not only their village, but ripple out into the world beyond? The mystery of divine renewal tugged at their hearts, leaving them on the brink of something wondrous. The light lingered, as if the sun had paused, just for them. The congregation stood transfixed, awash with hope and rebirth. The air, once heavy with fear, now shimmered with divine invitation. Mary felt the stirring in her spirit intensify, urging her to speak once more. "Friends," she began softly, her words flowing like a gentle stream, "what we have done today is but the first step. As we turn our eyes toward tomorrow, let us not just embrace this moment, but carry it forward. Let us let go of what was, to make room for what can be." A nod, a whisper of agreement, swept through the room like a breeze. Each villager felt the gravity of her words, sensing that something beautiful awaited just beyond the horizon. Peter stepped forward, his face illuminated with excitement. "Imagine a week of this cleansing. A journey where we allow our hearts to be unburdened, where each day is a step toward wholeness. 7 days." The words rippled through the gathering. Eyes widened with intrigue, hearts stirred with anticipation. Mary's heart danced at the thought. Yes, 7 days of opening ourselves to the Spirit. We could gather at dawn and share our dreams, our hopes. We could pray, sing, and explore the depths of faith together. We can invite healing into our lives. As the room hummed with energy, Mary noticed a mother holding her child closely, her eyes brimming with tears of hope. "Do you think," the woman's voice broke, "that this could truly change us?" Mary stepped forward, reaching out to the mother, feeling the warmth of the child nestled in her arms. "Yes, we are not meant to journey alone. Together, we are strong, bound by love. And love has the power to heal." At that moment, the space filled with a gentle sigh sound of release, of possibility. People began to murmur amongst themselves, sharing stories of struggles and desires for change. It was as if a dam had broken, allowing the waters of connection to surge forth. "Let us create something beautiful," Peter exclaimed, his enthusiasm infectious. "A space where our burdens become seeds of growth, where faith blooms in the light of community." Mary's heart swelled with joy. She watched as people whispered encouragement to one another, sparking ideas and igniting dreams. It was a beautiful tapestry woven in moments of faith, reshaping their living reality. A voice broke through the gathering, clear and bright. What if we stepped beyond our village's borders? What if our stories rippled out and touched the lives of others who are hurting? It was an elder, his face creased with wisdom. "Yes," cried another. "What if we shared the light with those who walk in darkness?" As thoughts turned to actions, the villagers began to strategize a plan, forming not just for their healing, but for the healing of others. Mary felt the Spirit's whisper grow louder, a promise that the light would not just stay contained, it would spill forth into the world. With renewed purpose, they made a pact to not only meet for 7 days, but to take action, a commitment to bring hope and love beyond their own walls. It was sacred, a promise that intertwines their faith with their deeds. And yet, as the joy and hope filled the air, Mary sensed a gentle tug at her heart. A sacred challenge was on the horizon. It felt as if the Spirit beckoned her to delve even deeper into the unknown. What will this journey of 7 days unveil? Mary pondered inwardly. Will we have the strength to carry this light into every corner of our lives? What if the divine reveals something more? With hearts ignited and spirits ready to soar, they stood on the threshold of transformation, teetering between community and the endless possibilities that awaited. And in that sacred space, the calling for divine renewal lingered palpably, inviting them to take the next step. What would it mean to step into this adventure, to truly embrace the divine change that awaited? The morning sun broke over the horizon, casting a golden hue upon the village. As dawn stretched its arms and welcomed the day, the people gathered once more, their hearts pulsing with excitement and expectation. Mary stood at the forefront, the anticipation wrapping around her heart like a warm embrace. "Let us begin," she declared, her voice ringing clear and bright. "This is our time to awaken, to shed old skins, and walk boldly into the light." Her words hung in the air, charging the atmosphere with divine energy. The villagers, each with wide, eager eyes, murmured their agreement. They sat in a circle under the great oak, the majestic tree symbolizing strength and endurance, roots deep in the ground like their faith began to deepen. Mary invited everyone to share their burdens. As one voice after another echoed through the grove, stories of sorrow, regret, and hope emerged. "Each tear we shed today waters the seeds of tomorrow," Peter encouraged, nodding with understanding. He closed his eyes, as if savoring the collective spirit that swirled around them, wrapping each person in a blanket of love. Soon, laughter mingled with their tears. "Let us dance," shouted a young girl, her joy infectious. With a newfound sense of freedom, they joined hands, twirling together, celebrating the release of their heavy hearts. "We are united," was the song that spilled from their lips, a hymn of love carried on the wind. As they danced, Mary felt an electric current ripple through the air. It was as if the Spirit was moving among them, whispering truths long forgotten, urging them to recognize their potential. "Remember," she called out amidst the joy, "we are called to serve. We are called to heal. We hold the light within us." In that moment, she caught the glimmer of the child's eyes from the previous day. The mother stood beside her now, both radiant and expectant. "What if our healing can spread like wildfire? What if it ignites in others what has been lying dormant?" the mother asked, her voice steady and powerful. "Yes," Mary replied, her heart swelling with exhilaration. "Let our light shine beyond these border strengths, to those who feel weak, hope to those hopeless, love to those lost." As they planned, visions of sharing meals with the lonely, healing the sick, and lending ears to the broken filled their hearts. "Let us create a schedule," Peter exclaimed. "Each day, we can bring light to different corners of our community. Imagine all the lives we can touch," another voice called. "Our stories will inspire strength and resilience in others, just as they will for us." The air was alive with purpose, a vibrant tapestry of dreams woven with faith. But Mary's heart began to thud, sensing the weight of what lay ahead. "Will we recognize the obstacles that come with this journey?" she thought. Doubts crept into her mind like shadows. She shared her fears aloud. "What if we fail? What if the challenges are too great?" A hush descended on the circle. One elder stepped forward, lined face radiating wisdom gleaned from years of faith. "We might stumble, we may face doubt, but even a flicker of light in the dark can shatter the deepest shadow." The serenity of his words resonated deeply within her. With this reminder, Mary felt renewed strength surging through her spirit. She exchanged glances with her fellow villagers, seeing small embers of determination light in their eyes. They were ready for whatever lay ahead. As they concluded their gathering, the sacred pact to embark on their journey settled upon them like heavy dew, tangible and blessed. And yet, in the back of her mind, a gentle whisper lingered. What trials would test their newfound commitment? How deep would their faith be pushed? With hearts ablaze and spirits set alight, they took their first step forward, unified in purpose. One question echoed in the quiet recesses of Mary's mind. Would they be ready to meet the divine challenges that awaited them on this sacred journey? The days that followed unfolded like petals of a flower, each revealing a new layer of divine purpose. Mary and her fellow villagers set out, traveling from home to home, bringing kindness like dew refreshing thirsty grass. The air was thick with anticipation as they ventured into the corners of their community, their hearts beating as one. Their first visit was to old Mr. Thompson, a man whose laughter had once rolled like thunder through the village, but had since faded into silence. Mary stepped onto his porch, the wood creaking under the weight of her resolve. She knocked softly, her heart whispering prayers of hope. The door opened slowly, revealing a weathered face that bore the marks of solitude. "What do you want?" he asked, suspicion mingling with curiosity. "We bring you love and light," Mary announced boldly, as the villagers stood behind her, their faces glowing with compassion. "Let us share a meal and some stories." Mr. Thompson hesitated, but something in the warmth of their smiles tugged at his heart. As he nodded and stepped aside, a tidal wave of gratitude washed over Mary. They gathered around his modest table, laughter mingling with the scent of freshly baked bread. Stories flowed, filling the air balm to his aching solitude. "We're grateful you've let us in," Mary said, her voice soft and earnest. "Your story is a thread, weaving us together." As the afternoon sun began to dip low, casting golden light through the windows, Mr. Thompson's laughter returned. It was a sound so bright, it felt like a choir of angels, resonating through their hearts. Each hearty chuckle was a reminder of the connection they could foster, a testament to the power of community. But as the sun set, doubts unexpectedly crept back into Mary's mind. What if their efforts weren't enough? What if they encountered others who were not as welcoming? That evening, as they regrouped, she voiced her worries. What if we face rejection? What if our hearts become heavy with sorrow once more? "Let us not fear the darkness," Peter spoke with conviction, his gaze steady. "We are bearers of light, and even in rejection, there is grace. Our light shines not for applause, but for the hope it can spark." In that moment, Mary felt a flicker of peace within her heart. They gathered once more, closing their eyes, hands clasped together, voices rising in unison, declaring their commitment to continue shining their light, no matter the obstacles they may face. With renewed vigor, they set forth to visit others in need: sick children, lonely mothers, grieving neighbors. Each encounter deepened their bonds. Each shared meal and friendly conversation, creating ripples of light that began to touch hearts beyond their own. But with blessings came challenges. They faced some harsh truths along the way. A mother, shunned by the community, locked her door tight against them. An elderly couple resisted, fearful of change. "Why are they afraid?" one villager whispered during their walk back. "We only wish to help." "Sometimes, faith is the hardest journey," Mary replied thoughtfully. "We must show them the way, even if they can't see the light for themselves yet." As they continued their mission, they felt the tug of their own vulnerabilities. Would they remain steadfast in their purpose despite the doubts? And just when they thought they had it all figured out, the greatest challenge yet loomed on the horizon, a whisper of something darker brewing in the village, unsettling their hearts. Mary pondered deeply on that divine mystery, her spirit ignited with curiosity and concern. What awaited them in the days to come? Was their light strong enough to confront the shadows? As the stars twinkled overhead, illuminating the path before them, a new question echoed in her heart. Would they rise to meet whatever trials were brewing, or would they falter in the face of uncertainty? The dawn broke gently over the village, painting the sky with soft pastel hues. Mary awoke with a sense of urgency in her heart. Today felt different. She could sense a shifting within her spirit that begged for attention. As the villagers gathered, she shared her feelings. "Something is coming," she said, her voice steady, yet laced with wonder. "I can almost taste it in the air, like the scent of rain before a storm. We must be ready." Her words hung in the air, and while some nodded in agreement, others cast glances that reflected uncertainty. What could this possibly mean? What was brewing on the horizon that would require their hearts to be so alert? Mary took a breath, remembering their mission to shine like stars in the dark sky. As they set out, The day unfolded with unexpected trials. They arrived at the home of a widow named Clara. The door stood ajar, but the atmosphere within felt heavy, as if it were draped in shadows. Mary knocked gently, but Clara's weary voice floated through. "I'm not in the mood for company. Please go away." For a brief moment, Mary's heart wavered. Should they insist? But with Peter standing beside her, she felt a grounding strength. "Clara," she called softly, "we come with love and support. We just want to share a moment with you." Silence fell, thick and suffocating. Then, the door creaked open, revealing Clara's tear-stained cheeks beneath a veil of sorrow. "Why do you even care?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Because you are not alone, dear sister," Mary replied gently. "We are here to share your burden and lift your spirit." Clara's defenses softened, and a spark of hope ignited within her. They entered her home, taking care to respect the sanctity of her grief. Together, they shared stories of loss, which transformed into laughter, and laughter into tears of joy. As the sun dipped low again, Mary felt an energy shift in the room. It wasn't just Clara who was starting to heal. Everyone present felt it, the divine presence weaving through their hearts. Mary realized that healing wasn't merely about alleviating pain, but about connection. It was about finding light together, despite the dark corners of life. However, while the seeds of hope were being planted, an unsettling tension twisted in Mary's stomach. As they left Clara, more whispers of darkness flooded the village. A mysterious illness plagued the children, and murmurs of fear began to skirt through the streets, twisting joy into dread. What if this darkness pushes them away? One villager expressed anxiously. Mary felt her own doubts rising. Would their light falter under such heavy burdens? "Let's not let fear dictate our steps," she urged. "We must shine brighter. Let our faith be our guide." But with every word she spoke, whispers of opposition crept back. More families locked their doors, and some cast disparaging glances as they passed. The heart of the community felt divided. Mary knelt, finding solace in quiet prayer, seeking clarity amongst the chaos. "Lord, give us wisdom. Help us to be the light the village so desperately needs," she whispered earnestly. As the night enveloped the village, a sudden chill swept through the air, and it felt almost palpable, like a warning. What lay ahead felt even more daunting, now a storm ready to break, not just in the skies but perhaps within their very hearts. Discovery awaited them, with hidden currents brewing below the surface. Would they fulfill their calling in the face of encroaching shadows, or would fear reign and dim their sacred flame? As a chill breeze rustled the leaves, the question floated up. Those trials had only just begun. What strength awaited them in the core of their fears and uncertainties? And would they be brave enough to embrace the divine challenge ahead? The sun rose slowly over the village, but it seemed muted today, as if nature itself sensed the heaviness in the hearts of the villagers. Each morning prayer had been tinged with an unspoken worry that held them in a tight grip. Mary gathered her courage, knowing the time had come for a decisive step forward. "Today, we confront the shadows," she proclaimed, her voice resonating with determination. "We cannot let fear bind us. Instead, we must stand firm in faith." Her words echoed against the cool, still air, igniting something deep within the gathered souls. As they embarked on their mission today, a renewed sense of purpose electrified the atmosphere. They marched toward the heart of their community, to where fear had taken root. Mary led them to the edge of the village square, where the stories of doubt had begun to swirl like a tempest. Staring into the eye of that storm, she felt a raw energy surge through her, like a rush of warm sunlight breaking through dark clouds. "We are not here to point fingers or dwell in darkness. We are here to share our light, to stand together as one." The words rolled off her tongue, carrying the weight of the spirit that swirled among them. Villagers began to emerge from their homes. At first, they appeared wary. Confusion flickered in their eyes like embers. But as the assembled group of brave believers clasped hands, lifting them toward the heavens, the air shifted. Prayers, One villager shouted, "Prayers! Let's show them what we can do." With solemn hearts, they began to chant. Voices rose, filling the square, harmonizing with urgency and love. Let faith break chains. Let love lift burdens. Each whispered prayer transformed into a vibrant echo that bounced off the village walls. Mary's own heart swelled with every syllable, the collective energy creating a ripple of hope. One by one, the villagers joined in, their hesitation melting like frost under the sun. It was as if a spell of bitterness was broken, allowing light to penetrate the shadows. And just then, a figure stepped forward. It was Clara, the widow, her tears glistening like fresh dew on her cheeks. "I felt alone, but today, I see I'm not. We can overcome." Her voice held conviction, sparking encouragement that twined itself through Mary's spirit, pushing her to speak freely. "Yes, we are a community. We rise and fall together, and today, we choose to rise." She felt the spirit moving, urging her boldly to take action. The villagers' spirits swelled as they formed a circle, wrapping around one another like a protective embrace. "Let's not just pray for healing. Let's carry our light to those who need it. Let's share our stories," Mary declared with fervor, as she felt the warmth of unity engulf them. They marched forth, visiting homes, bringing meals, sharing laughter, and encircling one another in love. Each gesture of kindness was like a balm to the wounded hearts of the village. It was in this vulnerability that their light began to shine brighter than it ever had before. But as smiles emerged from lips that had once trembled in fear, an unexpected shadow lurked in the hearts of a few. Doubt began to creep back, whispering that the darkness was not entirely gone, that trials would rise to test their unity. Yet, nourished by faith and the urgency within her spirit, Mary persisted. "Together, we have the power to move mountains. Together, we will confront whatever shadows emerge." As the final rays of sun dipped below the horizon, illuminating the sky with a dazzling array of stars, Mary knew they were entering unknown territory, uncharted realms of faith, trials, transformation, and triumph. Then a gentle wind blew, rustling the leaves. Something in the air shifted. Whispers of fear faded into murmurs of hope. Mary felt it, a palpable change in energy. "Will we trust each other enough to pray with one another?" she asked softly. "Will we dare to dig deeper, to unravel this connection we hold?" A collective nod rose from the villagers, determination surfacing on every face, and in that silence, they surrendered their fears, their doubts, their very hearts, to the divine embrace surrounding them. As the night enveloped them, filled with the magic of collective prayer, they finally surrendered to what had been waiting in the shadows, a divine rebirth, a chance to rise anew. With hands clasped and spirits ignited, they balled their fists and raised them to the sky. "We are ready," they declared, echoing a unified crescendo that rippled through the village and beyond. And as dawn approached once more, the winds of change filled the air like soft whispers of promise. This was not just the end of their trials. It was the beginning of something far greater, the embodiment of divine love, ready to pour forth in abundance. In that moment of surrender, a gentle light washed over the village, clearing the darkness that had lingered too long. Mary smiled, filled with a warmth that radiated hope. They would forge ahead, not as separate souls, but as a powerful collective community, united, armed with faith to illuminate the darkest paths. What trials awaited them now, they would face together, holding tight to the light within. And with that, the journey of the village had begun, echoing into the hearts of all, carrying the sacred torch of healing and faith onward. Now is the time for you to stand firm in faith. If this story has touched your heart, you need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories that will inspire you. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help spread this message of hope. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending. I want to hear from you. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation of divine love. Only true servants of God understand the importance of supporting this channel through your actions. Let's spread the light.